Hey there gamers, Dreamcast Guy here, and today we're talking about Ghost of Yotei because I have been playing it on the PlayStation 5 Pro, and well, to be honest, I was a bit afraid to review this because, Ghost of Tsushima, that's one of my favorite PlayStation 4 games of all time. From the crazy swordplay, to the awesome graphics, to the really cool story. When they announced that Tsushima 2 is Ghost of Yotei, a game that takes place 300 years in the future in a completely new part of Japan with a bunch of new characters, I was a bit nervous that, honestly, that Yotei would not be as good as Tsushima. This game lives up to the hype. It lives up to the potential. It is completely mind-blowing, but it also has a very big twist to it, to the gameplay, that I think in a lot of ways makes it better than the original. But let me explain. Hi, hope you're having a great day, and if you could, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, this is going to be a very rambly video because honestly, I put a bunch of hours into this, and I kind of want to talk about every part of this, from the story to the combat to the upgrades to the craziness, because this game is very, very big. You could probably 100% it in about 50 or 60 hours, but even just the main story, it's about 20 hours long of just crazy, crazy carnage. But I want to start things off with what to me is the most weird concept, because it does work, which is the non-linear storytelling. Now, this is a buzzword that honestly I hate. I feel like so many games attempt this and they just completely screw it up, which is the idea that instead of having a standard story, build up, tension, boss fight, crazy payoff, plot twist, instead, non-linear storytelling gives you all the pieces right at the start. Here's a whole list of quest objectives. Do them in any order you want, and at the end there will be a last boss. And the reason I don't really like a lot of these non-linear storytelling is that a lot of times they feel very repetitive, very hollow, because since there isn't that sense of building tension, of crazy payoff, a lot of times the game itself feels kind of empty. Whereas Ghost of Yotei, this is a non-linear story, but it's one that's done extremely brilliantly, because what the story about this is that we're playing as a woman named Atsu. And Atsu, as a kid, her father was a famous swordsmith. His job was to make the deadliest blades in the kingdom. They lived out in the country. They practiced sword fighting with sticks and stuff like that. Her and her brother, her whole family was very, very happy. Well, one day, some people came to her little village and they killed her family. They killed her father, killed her mother, killed everybody, right? And so the people that did it were at the time rather small warlords. These people called the Yōtei Six. But now, after this, 16 years later, Atsu has survived. She's gone to war. She's been hardened. She's trained her weapons, her body, her mind. She is at this point where she has decided, okay, I'm going to go back to my homeland. I'm going to kill the Yōtei Six one by one, and then I'm going to join my family in death. This isn't even a matter of survival. She wants to kill them and then die. And I like this idea because what it ends up doing is that right as the game begins, that's what they tell you to do. All right, here's your kill list. Find them, take them out by any means necessary. But at the same time, what makes this cool is that not only is this map massive, from snowy peaks to red-tipped forests to really foggy areas and stuff, every part of this map is enormous. But what makes it cool is this non-linear storytelling. The way it actually unfolds in the game itself is you can do pretty much anything and it will progress the main story. Instead of just give you a quest marker, you can just do whatever you want. There are main objectives that pop up, but what makes this game so incredibly interesting to me is that instead of having like main quests and side quests, there's kind of just quests, meaning that you can go to the bounty board and choose to kill targets, high value targets. And a lot of times by finding them, sometimes you'll encounter, okay, here's a guy that knows the location of the next Yōtei Six. You can find random masters, people that will train you how to use giant katanas or dual blades or the bow or the kurishigagi. Like basically every single thing, every one of these different masters will train you how to use their special weapon. And a lot of times they'll tip you off and say, oh yes, I actually trained with this member of the Yōtei Six. Go kill my old disciple. Or, oh, I know the locals. I know that if we save the people in this village, they actually know a secret passageway that'll get you into the fortress. You can get the next member of the Yōtei Six. I like this idea that honestly, it makes it so every single thing you do in this game feels so epic. It feels so driven. Like at one point, I like the fact that everything you're doing feels guided, but at the same time, it feels like anything can kind of solve any problem. Like at one point I was walking along and I saw a baker next to this gate, walked over, gave him a couple coin, whatever, right? I walked up to the guard and the guard said, sorry, can't get in without a travel permit. So I'm like, well, what the heck am I going to do? But that baker I just tipped said, oh, I've actually got a travel permit right here. There you go. Take him out. And so I was able to progress. And that was cool. But it also made me think, was that guided? Was that required? Was there another way to get that permit? Would I have wandered away if I didn't get that permit? Could I have snuck past the gate or killed the guards and stuff like that? I like the fact that everything feels like multiple solutions to every problem. Okay, story's fantastic. We got it, right? But what about the world? What about the combat? So what makes this the most different from Ghost of Tsushima is that in Tsushima, obviously we had stances. We had different styles, holding our sword, holding the blade, and basically fighting back against the different styles of enemies we're going to fight. Whereas in Yotei, we have tons and tons and tons of weapons. As you find the different masters, they'll train you in their particular stuff. And the way this works is that it's both good and bad. I think it's 95% good, but basically the way this works is that each of the weapons you fight has a different weakness. The really, really big guys are called brutes. They use these big like hammers. You got to use the giant katana called an ōdachi to take them out. A lot of times you're fighting somebody with a katana, you have to fight them katana to katana. If they've got a big spear, you got to use the dual blades to try and parry them and get inside their block. And I like this, but it does make it where it's not really optional. You can brute force it quite a bit, but the deeper into the game you go, you do actually gotta basically counterbalance it. In a lot of the boss fights, they'll actually keep switching weapons. They'll drop a katana, pick up a bow. They'll actually constantly be cycling through stuff. So you have to be good at fighting at everything and be upgrading everything, or some of those bosses can be a bit of a pain. But this also just brings me to, honestly, the combat is so extremely fun. It works a lot the way it does in the first game, honestly. You got a strong attack and you've got a fast attack. And you've also got a block, which is your parry. You got an action roll. Very, very simple. But it does make it where a lot of times when there's a little flash of blue, that's a parry-only attack. If they flash yellow, that means it is a disarm attack. You can actually knock the sword out of somebody's hand and they can do the same to you. If you kill somebody or knock the sword out of their hand, you can even pick it up and throw it at them. I like the fact that the combat feels so good and so multi-targeted. There is a lock-on option in the options menu. I never turned it on and I never needed it. What feels incredibly different about Atsu compared to Jin in the first game is that Jin still cared about honor to some degree. You could do dishonorable things. Obviously, there's entire quests where you're doing very dishonorable stuff. It's obviously what the whole plot was about. But Atsu, she only cares about killing her enemies. She does not care if she gets stabbed. She doesn't care if she breathes in dangerous chemicals. She is just about winning whatever fight is directly in front of her. So because of it, she fights incredibly dirty. She will do crazy stuff, which means that when you're stealthing around, sneaking feels great. You can kill targets, do multi-assassins, jump out, chop people up, snipe them in the head with bows and stuff. I like the fact that the combat just feels so dang vicious. And I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. I like the fact that every fight feels like this knockdown, drag out, blood-filled carnage fest. And that's so cool to me. But let's talk a bit more about the upgrades. So while you're playing this, there is a ton of stuff on the map, from random wolf dens to little side quests to people you can help out to collectibles or flower picking or even sitting in the sauna. You know, all sorts of stuff, right? Very, very full map, just like the first game. But what I think works better is that all of the upgrades feel much more substantial. As you find silks, you can upgrade your armors. As you find better pieces of metal, you can actually go back to your father's forge and upgrade this blade. I like the fact that, honestly, the sense of character progression, it's cool to get stronger and stronger and stronger, but also you have to upgrade your stuff evenly because you have, 6 separate weapons, 7 weapons in this game. You gotta upgrade all of them bit by bit. I definitely made the mistake where I tried to just utterly brute force it purely with the katana. I love the katana so much in the first game. I put a ton of my upgrades directly into the katana and into my main suit of armor I liked a lot. And while it was easier, since most people do use katanas, there was a certain point where I realized I did not play my character exactly the way they intended. So I was still able to win, but if you don't upgrade yourself evenly, you're going to have a bad time. Now, I do like the fact that while you're questing around, you're constantly getting just passive buffs. Thinking about things, meditating, doing things. You are constantly getting extra health, extra armor, and more talent points so you can upgrade all your skills. I just feel like Ghost of Yotei, in a very rambly way, I really enjoy it. I like the fact that the game is so dang different. It's got very big plot twists. It's got an incredibly good story. But more than that, I really do like the writing a lot. I kept just writing lines down in my script here. And I like that. One of the first bosses you fight is a guy called the Snake. It's basically the tutorial boss, the first of the Yōtei Six. And he keeps saying in this very mocking tone when he realizes who you are, that you're like this kid grown up here to kill him, where he keeps going saying, "Did you dream of this day?" And I love that. I love the idea. There's like this philosophical concept called ontologically evil, meaning things that are so evil, anything you do against them, it's morally justifiable. And I like the fact that some of the Yōtei Six are ontologically evil. They are just straight up murderous psychopaths, and them being gone makes the world a better place. But some of the Yōtei Six, while you're investigating them, while you're stealthing with them, while you're actually walking and talking with them, you start to see things a bit from their point of view. They still gotta die, but you do kind of understand, oh, this is why they thought this was for the best. Here's why they're building these things. Here's why they're trying to take over the shogunate. Here's why they think that this is all necessary, that all the bloodshed goes out in the wash. This game is so well written. I would say my only complaint is that I do think the voice acting is very, very good for every single adult. There are a lot of flashbacks, and in the flashbacks, people voice their own kid selves, right? These actors, no hate on them, talk in the worst kid voices ever. The main character, she has a very gruff, very, very angry voice, which I think fits her adult cutscenes very, very well. But when she's a kid, she still has a bit of a smoker's voice. It does make the very frequent flashbacks feel a bit goofy at times. But even then, very minor complaint, and obviously it's only a tiny detail of it, but maybe should have, like, I don't know, tone pitched it in the editing room, or maybe even cast somebody separate to do the voices of the kids. But these have just been some off-the-cuff thoughts. So, you know, we've heard a lot of good. We've heard a little bit of bad. Let's go over to the ratings board and put a big number on it. I am giving Ghost of Yotei a 10 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching, gamers, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep dreaming. I actually had to re-film this video, and it was a real pain in the butt. I actually filmed the entire video, started editing it, and the files corrupted, so I had to redo all of this. So I appreciate y'all watching this video. It has been way too many hours of work. Thank you, PlayStation, for the early review code, and if you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like. It does help in the algorithm, but most importantly, keep dreaming.